Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ultimate Fan Experience. I'm your host, the Ultimate Fan, and today, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a legend sitting right beside me, and Wade Smith. Y'all know him, y'all love him, Mr. 74. But this guy has done so much for the Texans, not just on the field, but off the field. He's got an awesome foundation. We're going to get into that later. But first and foremost, man, thank you for coming on the show. Thanks for coming on and talking to me, man.
Hey, man, I'm excited to be here. I'm glad that you asked me. I'm glad I was able to get in here.
And make it work.
And make it work, man. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, getting into this, so I don't know how many people know him or whatever, but we're kind of going to get a little bit into this as far as growing up. You're not a Houston boy.
No.
Grew up in Dallas.
I'm Texas boy now.
You a Texas boy?
I'm from the great state of Texas, boy. Yeah, I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas.
Born and raised in Dallas. So, high school ball, college ball, in college, you actually weren't a lineman. You were sort of a lineman, tight end. You moved from the tight end position to the line position. What was, how did that start? What made you want to change into that?
So, actually what happened was, I went to Lake Highlands High School in Dallas, Texas, and we were, like a traditional power, in high school football for a long time there. Going to the 4th, 5th round of the playoffs seemed like every year for about 5-6 years. And I was a tight end in high school. And so, and we ran the wishbone. And so I don't know how many people remember the wishbone offense. They do it now, but they do it out of the gun. You see like Navy and Army might still do it every now and again, and Air Force, but we ran the wishbone. We're talking 90s Texas high school football, Lake Highlands High School wishbone offense, and I played tight end in that offense. And so I actually was a glorified lineman in that offense because I caught 2 passes, I think, my senior year, 2 passes the whole senior year. But I led the team in pancake blocks at 108 pancake blocks that year.
Oh, man.
And that was like a thing. We had a running tally on our board of, who led the team in pancakes, because that was kind of our thing. And so I got recruited by Wisconsin, TCU, Memphis, and I decided to go to Memphis, play tight end there. And I was a tight end there for 2 years. Back then, our offense was a 2 tight end, 2 receiver, single back, kind of similar to what it was like during the Kubiak years here, and kind of now, less now because it's more of a 3 wide receiver type of offense, 11 personnel offense compared to what it was then. But it was, I was the second tight end. I was basically like Joel Dreesen or Garrett Graham.
Okay,
remember some of those guys? Yeah. I was that in our offense with the Memphis Tigers, and so that was when the spread offense was coming into vogue, and so we switched from my sophomore to junior year. We switched from a single back, 2 tight end, 2 wide receiver offense to a spread offense. So that's 4 wide receivers or 5 wide receivers, no tight ends.
Right.
And so my coach was Tommy West, and he said, "Man, you're one of our better players on the team. We really want you to be on the field. We want you to move to offensive line or move to defensive line, because tight end in this offense might get 10 plays a game.
Right.
And we want you on the field. And so you play offensive line, you're probably going to play 60, 70 snaps a game. If you play defensive line, you're going to play 40, 50 snaps a game." And he was like, "I really think you should go to offensive line. But if you go to offensive line," he goes, "you go to offensive line, and 2 years from now, you're going to be one of the most athletic offensive linemen in the draft, and you're going to play 10 years in the league."
And there you have it.
And it sounded good at the time, but I was looking forward to not being Garrett Graham or Joel Dreesen offense. I was looking forward to being Owen Daniels, because the senior tight end was graduating and he went to the NFL, and so it was now going to be my time to step into that number 1 tight end role.
Gotcha.
So at first I was thinking about transferring. Back then, transferring was way different than it is now, because, when you transferred back then, you're going to have to sit out a year.
Right.
But he told me, Coach West told me this is like spring break. Right before spring break, he's like, "Come back." He's like, "Go home, talk to your parents about it, but come back." And I went back to my dorm room and talked to my roommate at the time, Jamon Pugh, and he was like, "Man, bro, just trust me, dog. Move the offensive line. You're going to love it."
Yeah.
And so I came back from spring break, and we had spring football. The first day as an offensive lineman, I was like, yeah, this is the place I was always supposed to be. It's just a different world in there, different mentality, and I loved it. And so ever since then, I've been an offensive lineman. So I was a right tackle my junior year, and then a left tackle my senior year, and drafted in the NFL by the Dolphins.
I was kind of when I growing up playing high school, I never got out to the college level of it, but in high school, I started off my freshman year as a center.
Yeah.
I was a center all the way to my senior year, and then my senior year, I was like, man, I'm tired of hiking the ball, man. I kind of want to get my hands a little bit on it, so I became a tight end.
Okay.
And so, I played on that or whatever, and it was great getting to receive the ball or whatever, but like you said, you get little playing time because you're throwing to the receivers or you're running the ball. So the tight end's kind of the guy that just goes out and distracts kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different mentality as offensive lineman because you don't ever want to come out the game. You know that, what you do directly affects positively or negatively all the guys around you. And, your guys around you getting shine is what you play for.
Yeah.
And, it's the mushroom society, and I don't know if you can cuss on this or not, but the mushroom society, they put you in the corner and feed you. There you go.
There you go.
As you grow. And so, and the first time I heard it, I was like, that's my type of deal, What I mean? So, yeah, I've loved it ever since then.
Right. Well, 2003, you declared for the draft, and you were drafted by Miami.
Yeah.
You played with Miami for 3 years, and then. A little bit about that. Coming into the NFL, how was that for you in 2003? There's a lot of guys came into the draft in 2003. So
yeah, man. 2003, I was drafted in the third round. I was supposed to be like a swing tackle, a depth guy. The starting tackle got hurt in training camp, and so I think it was the second preseason game. Maybe the first, I can't remember for sure, but either the first or second preseason game, I was a starter by then. And so I started every game that preseason, every game that season, all rookie team. I think our team went 10-6 that year. Ricky Williams was our running back.
Yeah.
It was a up and down year personally for me. I had some tough games against what ended up being Hall of Famers, like Dwight Freeney, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely Hall of Famers. This last year.
Yeah, I gave up 3 sacks one game against Dwight Freeney, and then kind of felt bad about that. But then, the week later or so, he played against Jonathan Ogden and got 3 sacks against him. So I was against Ogden.
Exactly.
I don't feel as bad. But yeah,
you're coming in your rookie year too.
Yeah, rookie year, and like I said, it was voted on the all rookie team by it's Pro Football writers. Was all rookie team, and then second year there, I was the only offensive lineman that returned back out of the starting 5.
Wow.
The other 4 guys, some of them retired, some of them went away in free agency, some of them got cut, and so we had a whole new look up front. I was the returning guy, and we struggled early on in the year. Had a new quarterback. Quarterback didn't really work out. The move they made. The quarterback that we had the year before was a veteran guy, knew how to get the ball out quick, had success with him, but he wasn't just the guy, so they tried to bring in a guy. It didn't work out with him. And our coach ended up, that year, he ended up, resigning midway through the season. Dave Wanstead resigned midway through the season. And so I was starting the first couple games that season, and then I was benched. And then probably 5-6 games after that, my teammates, different coaches, hey, they're going to put you back out there left tackle, right? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just doing my work and trying to, get myself back out there. But ended up not playing the rest of that year. The next year, Nick Saban came in, became the head coach.
Yeah.
I moved positions to guard and center. And I think that extended my career. I think that helped me tremendously because Hudson Houck was the new offensive line coach. And if you understand offensive line play and who are the kind of the godfathers of offensive line coaching in the league, he's one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of the league. And he coached those Cowboy offensive lines back in the day. He coached Jackie Slater back in the day with the Rams. So I'm pretty sure that Hudson Houck was the offensive line coach when Eric Dickerson broke the 2,000 and I think it's 2,100 yard rushing.
Yeah.
He was the offensive line coach there. And so he said, I think you can be a Pro Bowl center in this league.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think you could play guard too, but I think you're an interior guy. And so, I bought into it and learned center and learn guard, and I still had my background in playing tackle.
Yeah.
And so, I was only there for, I think I ended up I broke my forearm that year in 2005, so I missed that whole season.
Right.
Broke my forearm in training camp. And then 2006, I was there for all the training camp. In the first game of the season, got released. 2 days later, I was picked up by the Jets. So I was with the Jets for the next 2 seasons. But during that time, I was never a starter, but I was always like the first guy in off the bench. And so having to learn the entire
front line, pretty much.
The entire line. Yeah. You go in and practice. During practice, offense might have 12 reps, and so the starter gets a few reps and then needs a break, and so you go 2 plays here, 2 plays there, 2, 2, 2, and these are high level reps you're having to execute, but you're having to know what you're supposed to do, and so that helped me kind of gain knowledge as far as being an offensive lineman and what each guy needs from each other.
Right.
And so by the time I left the Jets after 2 years. Then I was with the Chiefs for 2 years. But by the time I got here to Houston, like I was seasoned, and I kind of knew what I was best at. I knew what type of scheme suited my game the best. And
it sounds like you could help others too, get in their position.
Right, like my background, because I started every position in the league. I've started at every position, like at least one game.
Wow.
And so, playing next to Chris Myers, like when he's got, if sometimes you watch the games and the center puts his head down, and he's got to look for the foot so he can snap the ball. When he looks his head down, a lot of times that's when the defense moves because they're trying to confuse you. Yeah. Well, if you have a guy that plays center that has played center right next to him, he can make the calls and know this is what he's going to need to know in this instance based off of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that you can make sure that you get the play blocked. And so that helped. We helped one another tremendously. Like having having that background and kind of understanding where he's being put in bind because he's not seeing what's going on, being able to communicate with them. And the same thing with D Brown playing left tackle.
Dwayne too. You had Dwayne there too.
Yeah. So we played in the division with Dwight Freeney still playing for the Colts.
Right.
So anytime we play the Colts, you go back and watch those games. Hey, Chris Myers, you're gonna have to make your money this week because I'm gonna make sure that guy is not gonna do to him what he did to me.
Right.
And Dwayne will tell you himself, he's got his own stories of having rough days at offense against Dwight Freeney.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he's not going to have a rough day as long as I'm his left guard. We're going to make sure that we're going to overset him, and we're going to force him inside to me, and I'm going to blow him up, or he's going to run outside, and we're going to be in a good position as far as Dwayne
push him out.
to push him out and block him because he's just one of those type of guys. So, yeah, all of that kind of playing these different spots helped me tremendously as far as when I got here. And knowing what guys needed knowing what guys needed help with, and being able to be there for those guys. So,
well, I got a moment too. I kind of learned something about you today too. Is kind of a little trivia thing. And to tell you the truth, I called a couple of people to kind of confirm it to make sure it was true. But you are the first Texans lineman, to ever get a fumble and run it in for a touchdown.
Well, I didn't run it in. I dove on the fumble. So we were playing against the Ravens in 2011, and Ben Tate's running the ball, and he gets hit, fumbles the ball into the end zone, and I run and dive on it in front of Ed Reed. You go back and look at the video. I beat Ed Reed to the ball, which is pretty cool. That's rare. It's rare that an offensive lineman will beat out Ed Reed for the ball, but I beat him out for the ball, dove on and scored a touchdown, and got fined heavily because it's funny if you go back and look at the TV clip and you hear D Brown's going, mark him up. In other words, he scored a touchdown, he's going to get fined for that. We had our own internal fine board, and I definitely got fined for that. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't keep the ball.
Really?
I was so excited and spiked the ball, and it was just wow, just really just scored a touchdown.
Right?
And after the game, so it was did you keep the ball? I'm like, Nah, I don't know where that ball went. So it's somewhere, but hey, it's always on TV. You can pull it up on YouTube anytime and watch it. Yeah, at the moment. I don't have the ball, but the moment is the moment.
The moment's the mirror.
Yeah,
exactly. So playing for the Texans as long as you had, I believe it's 3 seasons with the Texans, four seasons with the Texans. And so that being like your longest stint, would you consider like the Texans like that's your team? That's the team I go for. That's the team I'm cheering for all the time.
Facts. Like when I came to the Texans, first of all, I'm from Dallas, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Houston was the place where I was able to have like my mom come to every home game, have family members come to every home game.
Yeah.
I had my most individual success as a Houston Texan and team success as a Houston Texan. Like I went to the Pro Bowl, block forward, NFL rushing leader Arian Foster. We won 2 division championships, the first division championship in franchise history.
Yes, sir.
A lot of great things that went on. I mean, we did not win the Super Bowl, but I was on a Super Bowl caliber team, that 2011 team. Just go back and look at it. I bet you out of like the 22 starters, I bet you 19 of them went to the Pro Bowl either a year or 2 before that or a year or 2 after that 2011 season. We just had a bunch of talent on that team, but we had some critical injuries. We had, Mario was out for the year.
Yeah.
Dre missed a bunch of games that year. Schaub goes out. Yeah. That was a huge loss.
Yeah, that was a bit.
We had a lot of guys that missed some critical situations where we missed some guys, and we had some guys step up, and that was the thing about it where I feel like it was a Super Bowl caliber team because you had guys step up, and like Brooks Reed had his best year of his career, his rookie year, stepping in for Mario, and TJ Yates comes in and wins playoff games for us, and wins the clinching game to get into the playoffs. Like it was a special year. But we fell short. You go in a playoff game and you turn the ball over 4 times. Even though you win the battle up front, you're not going to win that game. Yeah. And so that's what happened, especially against a team like the Ravens. So
exactly.
But yeah, man, definitely had a great run with Houston. Houston is a team that I support. Still doing stuff with them as far as being a Texans legend, part of the ambassador community.
Always see you on the field, whether it be for home games and in all the other things that you guys do in the community and things like that. And well, speaking about community. You started a foundation, and the Wade Smith Foundation, and I've actually got to be a little bit a part of that. You invited a lot of us fans to come and read some books with them, some kids and things like that, man. And I appreciate me getting to be a part of that, because it was really cool. I had one of the kids when we were at the school. He's like, "Man, I don't think you play for the Texans. You look like you play for the Oilers. Like you're." I think the beard threw him off a little.
Yeah.
I said, but it was kind of funny how he was like, he knew his time frame too. Like, you don't look like you a Texans player, but
these kids are pretty aware, man. It's pretty astute of him to be like, man, the way your beard's set up, you might not have played for the Texans, but you might have played for the Oilers.
Right. And just getting to read to the kids and they really took to it and things like that. Starting this foundation, what was your inspiration first to start this foundation? Like who did you see that was a player that was like getting something started and you're like, man, I want to do something like that?
I don't think I necessarily saw a particular player or anything like that made me want to start the foundation. I think I always I kind of lent myself to giving back to the community. There was a lot of people that helped me to get to where I was in life. And I wanted to start a foundation once I got somewhere where I knew I was going to be planted and be there. And when I signed my contract with the Texans in 2010, I was like, this is the biggest contract that I've had in my career, and it's the longest contract, and it's in my home state. So I want to make sure that I give back to that community. Yeah. And so I also wanted to make sure that whatever I gave back in, it was something that I was passionate about myself, something that I really thoroughly enjoyed myself. And so I've always loved reading books, like ever since I was a little kid, that was my thing, reading books. And so I just wanted to share my passion for reading and how it's helped me to achieve a lot of the things that I've achieved in life with young people that might not necessarily get the opportunities that other kids get. The Wade Smith Foundation, we've been doing Reading with the Pros, the program that you described, since 2012. That's when I started the foundation. Yeah. And, I would say 95% of the schools that we go to are Title I schools, where there's kids in lower socioeconomic situations where they don't have access to some of the resources that other kids in the city or in the area might have. And so we go there to try to bridge that gap, but to share that love for reading. And it's been an awesome thing because there's so many different, and it's a lot of it is anecdotal, but there's a lot of kids that you come across, teachers that you come across, principals that you come across that say, you know, you coming to our school just made such a huge difference for these kids. They're so excited about reading now. You know, I've been doing it so long that kids have graduated high school, graduated college. You know, elementary kids that, you know, might have been in the 5th or 6th grade when you started it that are, you know, they're parents now. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that was 12 years ago. So
exactly.
But yeah, man, it's a cool thing to do, and it's been awesome because the Wade Smith Foundation has been doing Reading with the Pros all these years, but this year was the first time we partnered with the Houston Texans to do Reading with the Pros. And so that was awesome just to be able to have the organization support what we're doing in the community, and to be able to partner up, to be able to affect just a wider group of kids, and then be able to invite and involve more readers, more volunteers, more everything. Right. And so, you know, you guys, part of the fan council, just did a tremendous job this fall and winter of coming out in droves to read to these kids, and they loved it. They loved it. Yeah.
I had a great time, and not only that, like this year, you guys built like a little section and like a little book section in the library for them, like a Houston Texans kind of thing or whatever. And I saw you got Toro's new book in there and stuff. That was kind of cool, man.
Yeah, man. Toro came out with a new book, and you know, that's something that we've always did with the Wade Smith Foundation is we go to schools and we donate reading corners. The schools that participate in our reading contest, and so we just incorporate that same idea. But now you have the Houston Texans logo, the new branded H that we all know that you had a huge hand in. So that's on the wall at Madding Elementary School over in Sunnyside, and you know, along with that, they were the partnership with the Houston Public Library and the Barbara Bush Social Literacy Foundation. They were able to pick out books that they got to take home and keep for themselves. We were able to do a lot together to give back to these kids and to show them that, first of all, that, you know, they're seen, you know, they're appreciated, and we want to see them be successful. And so it's been a really cool deal, and it's always fulfilling to see kids' eyes light up. And that's the thing about it is these kids is like we're having NFL players there, like current Texans players there. You have former Texans players there. You have current and former Texans cheerleaders there. You have fan council members. You got young disc jockeys. You got TSU student athletes. You got all these different people that are all, you know, they're all pushing that same agenda of literacy and reading and the passion for it and how it can help them. And so, you know, I think it helps teachers tremendously to have somebody from the outside to come in to kind of supplement and support and co-sign a lot of things that these kids are hearing each and every day. It's just like, I mean, my kids, I have 4 kids, and, you know, if my friend says something to my kids, I could say the same thing to my kid, and they might not they're probably not going to listen to it. But if somebody else says it, or, you know, uncle or auntie say it, then they're going to, and it's going to click. So I think it helps these teachers that, you know, a lot of times people get taken for granted, and it's understandable because when you get used to seeing someone all the time, some things can start to get drowned out. But when you have somebody from outside in, somebody that you see on TV, somebody that you listen to on the radio, or, you know, whatever it may be, and they're saying the same thing, it's like, oh, so that's what they were talking about. And so it just does a tremendous amount to just have these kids excited about it, and it helps them tremendously in all parts of their just lives and just their education and their upbringing. Right.
And another little thing that I had, one of the kids actually did recognize me. They're like, "You're that guy we see on TV."
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that was kind of cool to even know that they are young. And I've had, you know, I've been doing this for a while myself as far as being the ultimate fan, but and going to the games and seeing the regulars. And I've had little kids where like they're telling me now, they're grown men and like, man, I've been watching you since I was a little kid, and you just got a picture with my daughter the other day, and I'm like, yeah, I've been kind of doing this a long time, kind of thing. So it's been amazing to be part of what you're doing and what a lot of the other players are doing and what the Texans are doing. And, I can't wait to, do this again, because I know you were just like, man, you guys let us know and we'll be there. The fan council and all the fans, anybody that you let us come in there and be a part of something special like that, a growth of a kid, and just showing a little bit of love, a little bit of tenderness, a little bit of care, and just showing them a little bit of your time.
Yeah.
A lot of that's, it's your time, it's not money you're giving up or anything like that. It's your time. And some of these kids, they just eat it up.
Yeah, man. It's a really cool deal, because you're showing them like that attention that you described, and then you're also showing them something outside their normal environment of what they're seeing. Like some of those kids were able to come up to NRG for a bike giveaway.
Yeah, I saw that. So, that was so cool.
Yeah, so it was cool to see some of those same kids. And like I said, they'll never forget those moments. They're not going to forget, like I said, there'll be times where I'll be at my daughter's volleyball game and a kid will come up to me and it's like, are you Wade Smith? You're Mr. Smith, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you came to my school in 3rd grade, and you read to the kids. Yeah. And I love that. It
puts that big smile on your face.
Yeah, man. I'm just minding my business trying to record my daughter playing the game, and the kid walks up to you and says like, and the kid is, they're the team manager on the volleyball team, and they're getting ready to go to school next year. And it's like, wow, it's pretty cool. And so those type of things happen so often. And, I've been to so many different elementary schools in Houston that I feel like, I'm not from here, but this is my city. Right. You know what I mean? And so for sure. you once you get here, and there's a lot of people are the same way. A lot of professional athletes come to this place and they make this their home because of the people and just the way the city of Houston is. And so I'm just glad that I can give back to a place that's given so much to me and mine. Yeah. Well, in 2012, not only did you start the foundation, but you were also a Pro Bowler. Yeah. What was that experience like, getting to be part of that? Because I mean, you're considered elite when you get to go into the Pro Bowl. They recognize you because you've done great things for the team and your play. So, how's that experience for you? That was pretty awesome, man. And when I found out about it, I didn't expect it. It wasn't like I was something where I just expected I'm going to be in the Pro Bowl. Yeah. But it was. I think it was kind of a culmination of a lot of work put in just over my career. I would say my 2012 season wasn't my best season in NFL. I thought I was better in 2010, 2011, even in 2008 with the Chiefs. But a lot of times when it comes to the Pro Bowl, and especially with offensive linemen, if your team isn't good, chances are you're not going to go. If no one knows you yet, then you're not going to go. So you have to be good over a period of time, or you have to be highly touted coming into the league, and then play good. And so it was a cool feeling, and it was even better because like we had, I think it was 9 of us that went. I think it was myself, D. Brown, Chris Myers up front. So us 3 went. Then it was Arian, Shabi went, that's 5. Dre went, that's 6. Odie went, that's 7. Man, that's just like that's all legends in my mind, right? Yeah, it's one of them, And then we had on defense, I think JJ went and JJ. So JJ and JJ, I think, were the only ones on defense that year that went. And is that the last Hawaii, like the last time that we were in Hawaii? I don't think it was the last time, but it was definitely one of the last times. I think maybe the last time was like 2015 or something like that, because they went to Florida one year and then went back to Hawaii, and then they just never went back again. So, but definitely got to go to Hawaii. Got to take, I bought, I don't know, about 15 tickets or so, 20 tickets. Mom, dad, brothers, sisters, best friend, like it was best friends, like the guys I grew up with. We were all out there. Yeah. So that was a pretty cool experience, man. Just to be able to go out there and be in the huddle, and Peyton Manning's your quarterback, or you know what I mean. That was it was kind of surreal.
Like when the Pro Bowl was the Pro Bowl too. So I mean, it was.
Yeah, the years leading up to that,
right.
It had gotten to where it kind of is like the All-Star game in the NBA where nobody was doing anything. But that particular year, like Peyton Manning gets up in front of the group, like I guess like the first day that we're there, and he's talking about how like, hey, we need to actually go out there and play. We need to give them a good show because fans are complaining and the league wants us. And people were kind of looking like, now mind you, the Pro Bowl is, I guess that was a week it was the week after we lost to, maybe it was a week or two. I can't remember. I don't know if it was the week after or 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks after we lost to the Ravens. No. We lost to the Patriots that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost to the Patriots that year. So we lost to the Patriots in the second round of the playoffs. Physically, you're beat up by then.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of like, hey, we need to go hard and all this type of stuff. And you're like, man, we're out here. They don't have you don't have the hot tubs or all the different things that you need to get yourself ready to play. So you're just like trying to make it. But you had guys on defense. I can't think of the guy's name right now. D tackle that played for Tampa Bay forever. Gerald McCoy.
Okay.
He was a young buck at that time, probably his second or third year in the league at the Pro Bowl, and I guess he heard that speech, and so in the game he was one of the ones that took it to heart. So you knew like against certain guys, hey, you have to go hard, or he's gonna make you look bad, right? But there was a lot of guys that kind of knew how to make it look good, and I forgot what the score was. We got blown out. I think it was like 60-38 or something crazy like that. But it was a fun experience. Like I said, they had it was just a lot of really talented guys out there, and like I said, it's cool to be part of that because you're a Pro Bowler, and it was one of those things like you're voted to the Pro Bowl, and you weren't like an add-on player. Like I started the game. You know, I was in the AFC. They voted in 3 guards, and one of the guards was in the Super Bowl, so he wasn't there. So it was me and Marshall Yanda, I think it was. Me and Marshall Yanda started the game. And then they added Richie Incognito. They added him because I think it might have been Logan Mankins, who was a really good guard for the Patriots. He was in the Super Bowl that year, so he wasn't at the Pro Bowl. But I was actually, they print out the T-shirts. T-shirts has the roster that was voted into the game. Mm-hmm. You make if your name's on the T-shirt, you can't. There was no asterisk to that. You weren't voted in. You weren't the 3rd or 4th or 5th edition. You were there, and so to me, it just shows the respect because, like I said, I played guard. I was an offensive lineman. I wasn't a first-round draft pick, so that means that the guys that you played against really respected kind of what you did on the field. And so to me, that was kind of like the culmination of that in my career.
Well, speaking of career, who would you say out of all the guys that you went up against, and I'm pretty sure I probably know who it is. I think we've talked about him before, but who was the guy that you disliked going up against the most?
Disliked going up against? I don't even know if I can.
You just knew it was going to be a rough day if you.
Yeah, but see, I didn't necessarily like dislike those type of situations. Those were like opportunities to like
get back,
show how good you were or show how good we are. Yeah. Like you got up for those type of matchups.
I got you.
I'll give you a couple guys that were like the toughest guys to go against, but I wouldn't say I disliked going against them.
Okay.
As far as like on the outside playing tackles, definitely Dwight Freeney.
Yeah.
Easily the toughest guy to block. He was just very fast, very powerful, and then also he had that spin move, and he used those combination of factors that were very tough to.
I know they highlighted that a lot in his Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I was very thankful because I looked at that video and I wasn't on the tape. So that's the type of stuff you look for. It's like, man, I didn't
You're
make
like,
the tape.
I wasn't that.
Yeah,
I wasn't on his highlight reel.
Unfortunately for my boy D Brown, he was on there. And we were texting at the time like, dang, dog, I ain't made it tell you. Then it was like, oh, dang, there you go right there. He was definitely on the outside, and then on the inside, I would say Richard Seymour for sure, Haloti Ngata, and actually I think one that was really underrated was Geno Atkins. Like those 3 guys on the interior to me were the toughest matchups. We had battles, like we had a bunch of battles with those guys, and it was cool. Like the Pro Bowl I went to, like Geno Atkins was there, and so you could tell it was like a mutual respect because because like I said, we played Cincinnati, seemed like twice a year for like 2 or 3 years in a row there. And we always came out on the good end, but he was just really strong, low to the ground, played really hard, just a good matchup. And then, like I said, Richard Seymour was long, explosive. He was definitely tougher to deal with when he played with the Raiders as opposed to when he was with the Patriots. When he was with the Patriots, he had a 2 gap and he wasn't he wasn't allowed to penetrate and get up the field like he was with the Raiders.
Yeah.
He was tough to deal with the Raiders. And then Haloti Ngata he was a ton. Like that was a big dude that was shiftier. And you know what? Vince Wilfork eventually became a Texan
himself, right?
Right, but I can't believe I left him out. But Vince, those 4 guys on the interior, those were definitely the toughest. But like I said, I look forward to playing against those guys, and because when you're trying to be the best, you have to beat the best, you have to defeat the best, you have to go against to get that and achieve that. And so, like I said, I won my fair share of those battles, and but those are definitely tough guys to deal with.
When you were running like practices and stuff like that, who would be going up against? Who would you be going up against on the daily?
Me and Antonio Smith, man.
Oh yeah,
me and the Ninja.
Ninja, man.
The Ninja got you ready because, we did 9-on-7, which is a run period that you do every day in practice, where it's 9. It's 9-on-7, so it's like 9 offensive players against the front 7 of the defense, and it's a run period. So you know that they know you're going to run the ball. We know we're going to run the ball. And our first play every practice was 19 week, some variation that they called of that, of where some formation, but I write 19 week. We're going to run the ball to the left. Antonio Smith is going to be lined up in the 3 technique against me and the running back, Arian or Ben Tate or whoever it is, Justin Forsett, whoever, they're going to read my block. And if I win my block, we're going to have a good first play of 9-on-7. If I don't, then we won't.
Right.
And doing that every single day. And Antonio Smith was one of the better defensive linemen that we've had here with the Texans. Like he's another one that's I think is really underrated. But he was a hell of a football player. But we got each other already, and he was a hell of a football player. He also, as far as physically, but he was a smart football player. Yeah. And we would work with one another just like in one-on-one pass rush, different techniques of what we were doing, run game, what you're seeing. We talked the game a lot. Yeah. So that was really cool to have. My brother in name, Antonio Smith and Wade Smith, we went against each other all the time in practice for sure.
That's crazy. Yeah, we had he was going to come on the show, and when we were scheduling it, he was like, "Yeah, no problem. I'll be on the show. I'll be there or whatever." And I'm like, "Okay." Yeah. So we sent him like the time and to be here and stuff, and I don't know what had happened, but some miscommunication. He was like, "Yeah," he goes, "Man, sorry, man. I just got off the skid steer. I can get on a Zoom call." And I was like, "Oh, I thought you were here in Houston." He's like, "Man, bro," he's like, "I got a farm in Oklahoma, man. I'm not going to be able to make it over
on
here."
On a farm, man.
Yeah. And he was like, he literally just come off the skid steer. I think he's like, "Dude," he goes, I'm dirty as hell." He's like, "But I get on a Zoom call with you real quick." Yeah. So we're rescheduling some time with him, man. I met Ninja the first time on a rap video that Dre LaDon had done. That I think it was that Red, White, and That Blue song. Oh yeah. And then he'd done a part in that. It was the first time I met him. And then when Dre got in this year, we were at the rodeo, and I just was going to a party that they were at, and him and Clowney and Antonio, they all like came in, and I hadn't seen Antonio in forever, man. And I was like, man, that guy, he did something really cool for me when he was playing for the Denver Broncos. There was a little kid that was sitting behind me, and he had oxygen on and stuff like that. I believe he was fighting leukemia at the time. Right. And he was just like, "Hey, do you mind if I stand beside you?" I'm like, "Little dude, you can stand in front of me, right?" Yeah. And Antonio had come out, and this is when Wade was coaching him, and he came out and he saw me. He's like, "Man, Ultimate." He's like, "How you doing, man?" He goes, "Man, they ain't got fans like you in Denver." Yeah. I was like, "I appreciate that, man." And I was like, "Hey, do you mind doing me a favor?" I was like, "You mind signing an autograph?" And he goes, "Wait till after the game." So after the game had come over, he had came and he signed a hat and gave it to the boy, and there was a ball that was given to him, and he was stopping all the guys and having them sign this ball for this kid and things, man. And I was like, man, that meant so much to me, that he was able to do that for the kid. I always remember that from him. Antonio is a cool dude, man, for 100%.
Yeah, that's the type of dude Tone is, and then he's a character too, as far as like just hilarious. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
to come out, and, personality, the whole ninja thing was a cool concept.
Yeah, his whole ninja stars, and he would switch it up. He wasn't always the samurai sword. It wasn't. And I used to tell him, like, you got the best celebration. You got the best sack celebration in the league. For sure. He used to tweak it like the ninja for sure. One of the most underrated Texans in the history of the franchise, for sure.
I agree. 100% agree. So I appreciate you coming on. But I got one more question for you, and then, we could finish this up. But so I know you see my belt in here. Actually, it's my new belt that we wore for the last home game of the season or whatever, man.
Yeah.
The new H, the new logo. For somebody who played with the original colors, the red, white, and blue, what do you think of the new uniform, the new choices, the new look?
I love them, man.
Yeah.
Like I remember going to the unveiling little ceremony thing they did, the little sneak peek thing, and I was just like, bro, these go hard. And I was like, and you could see, like, all right, people are gonna love to buy these, like the H-Town, like the
H-Town blue.
The H-Town blue. I was like, people are gonna love that. I'm like, imagine if they put the H on the field or paint it, and that's what they ended up doing. Because at the time we didn't know that they were gonna do that, but you knew it was like, can you imagine this at a night game or a primetime game, and them wearing these jerseys, and then the all red with the horns, all of it looks great, man. I was just like, man, if we could have played, like we love what we played in,
of course.
But like it's taking it to a next level, to another level, and it's cool to see, man. Like I said, it got people excited about this season and what's to come with the Texans, and so it's a lot of new stuff, and I see like whoever's behind, like coming up with different apparel and stuff and ideas to wear. Like there's some dope stuff coming up. I'm like, man, I saw Indy Kalu with he had like a black on black. It was like a jacket, but it was like chrome, but it was like chrome black. It was like shiny. I was like, man, where did you get that from?
Right.
He was like, I
can't say.
Everybody want to hold on to their drip. They don't want to let it be known where they got it from.
Yeah.
But we all got our sources. We can all figure out how to get it. But it's a lot of really sweet stuff out there that they have with the Texans.
Sure. I liked how Slim Thug, he did a little thing where he did like the skull fingers in the back. Where, And when I got that shirt, I was like, man, that was a hard one to get, man, because the minute it popped out, it was sold out. Like, and the bigger shirts were sold out really quick. But so I finally got my inside source there at the store. I was like, hey, as soon as the new shipment comes in, let me know. I'll be there to pick them up or whatever. So I'm always the latest and greatest inside the store. So people are always asking where you get them. Like, go to the game. It's in the store. You just got to wait like everybody else.
They got to look out for you, man. You're gonna rep it to the fullest.
Absolutely,
and rep it right.
So man. I will always rep it to the fullest. And well, Wade, I appreciate you coming on here, man, and giving me a little insight of your life and what's going on, man. And I know a lot of fans appreciate it too. I'd love to have you back on again sometime, man, down the road. It's just awesome talking to you, man.
Yeah, man. So just let me know, man. I enjoyed it, man.
I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been on the Ultimate Fan Experience. We'll see you next time.